Hello everyone, I'm Rachel Tessman from stampyourartout.com and I'm here to bring you another live paper crafting class. Today is St. Patrick's Day, so happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. To celebrate, Stampin' Up! Is having a 24-hour sale. Not really a sale, but like a special, a promotion. Free shipping. So if you have not heard about that, it's a March 17th free shipping day. In the US, the minimum order needs to be $50. So if you place a $50 order or more, you get free shipping. Yay! Let's see, what do I want to tell you today? We are going to have a really fun card. It's an interactive card. It's a card that I have learned from fellow demonstrator Chris Slogar. And so thank you, Chris. This card is really cool. It's got green in it, which is so appropriate for today. It's also an Easter themed card, so that if you have not thought of an Easter card idea yet, the stamp set that I'm going to share with you today that I'm using for the card is a really great option to purchase for making your Easter cards and projects. So on that note, what do I want to tell you? Oh, Trisha, is Trisha here with us? I see her name popping up. She's already saying welcome to everybody. Welcome to those of you that are new to my channel and to my lives. So glad that you joined in. If you are watching during the live, it's 11 a.m. Central Time on March 17th. If you're watching during the live, make sure that you're logged into your Google/YouTube account, and then you can actually participate in commenting. You can comment along with us and get in on the conversation. Your comments will also get you entered into a prize drawing. So towards the end, Trisha will draw a couple winners from the commenters. And then the next time I do another live video, I will have a winner that I drew just before from the comments that accumulated after the live. So there's two comment sections. There's a live comment section, and then there's an area where you can comment if you're watching this after the live. So please leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of the card. Tell me how long you've been crafting. Tell me about your weather. I always love to see funny little jokes that make me giggle. You guys crack me up sometimes. In fact, I'm going to show comments in just a little bit from the video from last time, which was 2 weeks ago. Sorry I missed you guys last week. But there's some really funny ones that came through, and I wanted to highlight those. So sit back and enjoy. Comment if you wish. And I hope that you get some inspiration, some creative ideas from what I'm going to share. On that note, let's go to the comments from last week. I'm going to pull them up on my computer, have that screen ready, and here we go. So these are the comments that I screenshotted from 2 weeks ago. We did the video was on making like a stationery, like a little box that held cards. And so it was fun to see. On the right-hand side, you can see some comments that relate to it. But first of all, just a big welcome to any of you who are new. Make sure that you're new. Or make sure that you're new. Make sure that you comment if you're new, because I love to catch those comments from anybody who's watching for the first time. It's fun to see where you're from. Oh my gosh, all over the world. Denmark and Canada and South Africa, England. Woohoo! Let's see here. Also, when you share things that are going on in your life that are deep and meaningful, maybe you went through a surgery or you had a new grandbaby. Congrats, Elaine. Share that with us, because then we can send good thoughts your way, give you well wishes. Let's see here. So here's the funny comments up at the top. I think it's Mariel, is that how you say it? She said that she walked over 2 miles watching the video. So that was cool that you multitasked. And I love Hippie Kansas Girl. She commented about she was really stressed out about the stamp set that I used in that last project. She was trying so hard to line it up and had to just embrace it. And then Lisa asked, what's the finished size? The finished size was 1 inch tall, or 1 inch thick, I should say. And then it was 5 inches wide and 6 1/8 inches tall, if that helps. And then Sue was asking about which direction do you fold. So this is one of those questions that gets asked over and over again. It's you know, you can fold it either direction, but I feel like when you are scoring your cardstock, Sue, you're pressing into one side of it. You're breaking the fibers on that side a little bit more than the other side, and it's easier to fold so that the outside or the score, the pressed in area is on the outside of the fold. I think it gives you a cleaner fold, but you could fold in either direction. So mountain on the inside, valley on the outside, if that makes sense. And do you think this suite will retire? Yes, I do. And the main reason is because of the in colors. I'm going to pull those out and bring those to the desk. Those in colors are leaving us, and the designer paper that we made those cards from and the project from includes one of those. The last question by Carol was your Facebook group, and I did pull that little graphic across the bottom, but you can see in the smaller font, Stamp Your Art Out group. It's simple, right? That's the name of my Facebook group. So if you'd like to join on Facebook, you certainly can. Let's go ahead and, oops, there's my camera. There we go. So I'm going to just point out those 5 colors. We have Seaside Spray, which was a color that's included in the Hydrangea Hill paper from last time. That color is leaving in just a couple months. So anything that has any of these in colors will be leaving, will be retiring. They never carry over anything that includes those. So Pretty Peacock is the one that I'm highlighting today. Pretty Peacock is a really deep bluish green. It's gorgeous. I love it. It's included in our Forever Greenery Designer Series paper, which, by the way, would be retiring then too, right? This is one side of that paper, and I have 6x6 pieces of some of them, and then I have the 12x12, which is the size it actually comes in. You can see there's lots of different greens in there. So again, happy St. Patrick's Day. If you flip it over, you can see a little bit more solid or compact designs in most of those. So we're going to be using this piece here and this piece here. I'll just set those over here for a minute. I'm going to adjust something on my computer, pull that away, and we're going to pull up the measurements now. So if you'd like to, you can take a screenshot, but I will, as I've said in the past, I will take this PDF and put it into the blog post that's going to be connected to this video. So this video obviously went live at 11 a.m. Central Time. It's going to be live on my blog, or showing on my blog at 12:15. So in about an hour and 15 minutes from start time. And there's the, just in the description of this video, which you can already access, there's a link to that blog post. It won't go live until 12:15, but once it's live, you can click on that link and you can actually pull up this PDF, print it off, and have that handy. It's not a huge PDF. All it does is include the supplies that I used and the measurements and the title of the project. So, but it's a quick little handy reference. So what are we using? We're using the Arrange a Wreath bundle. I'm going to pull that in. That includes the Arrange a Wreath stamp set and the coordinating dies. And then we're also going to be using the Forever Greenery designer paper and some really fun accents, the Artistry Blooms sequins. I love those. Those I hope carry over. I don't know if they will or not, but I'm praying. There's one item that's not included in the supply list, so I'm just going to tell you what that is. That's the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I don't know why I forgot that one. We are using dies. And you can see off to the right that we do have the metric measurements as well as the imperial. So for those of you that use the A4 size cardstock. Okay, all right, so let's go down to the desktop now. Yay! I'm going to zoom in a bit here too so we can see this a little bit closer. So this is the stamp set called Arrange a Wreath. And it was one that I fell in love with right away when it appeared in the annual catalog back last summer. Look at the beautiful wreath and all the little things you can put around it, and the fonts, sentiments for different holidays and times of the year. But look at the dies. So these are the Wreath Builder dies. This one is my favorite. I use it over and over again because if you look closely, you can die cut this And then you can take and cut out little tiny leaf pieces. So for those of you that missed that leaf punch, remember we had that leaf punch and it retired? This is a great substitute if you do have a die cutting machine. You can just die cut your wreath and you can get several, oops, you're not seeing those, I'm putting them up and away. You can get several little clusters of leaves to add to your projects. Let's shove those off to the side. We'll also be using this one. This is just a fun shaped flower. I love that flower. And I was going to use the eggs, but I just couldn't fit them into the card the right way. It was kind of bugging me the way they were in there. So I didn't use the egg images or the egg dies, but you can crank out a bunch of Easter eggs if you wish with those dies. It's got kind of a multi-season look to it. You've got Christmas in there. You've got Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving, Easter, yeah, so fun stuff. We'll also be using the wishes, best wishes stamp and the Happy Easter. So I have some things to share with you. We've had a busy last couple of weeks. I'll get into that in just a minute here. I want to make sure, I'm looking at my notes here. I want to make sure that I'm on task. Yes, okay, first I'm going to do some cutting and then I'll update you on what's going on in our world. So this is a piece of 12 by like 7-inch Pretty Peacock cardstock. I have this in my hands because I already have run out of my Pretty Peacock. And I decided, you know, since it's retiring, I'm just going to let it go and I'm going to try to use up my 12 by 12 pieces. So you grab some Pretty Peacock cardstock and you cut it at the 5.5-inch mark. And you're going to make it 5.5 by 10.5. So you can get that out of an 8.5 by 11 pack of this cardstock. So we're going to cut it to 10.5. There we go. So if this was like a typical size piece of cardstock here, hang on, this is what you'd be cutting off the end of your 8.5 by 11 sheet, if that makes sense. So you don't want it completely 11 inches, but we want it longer than 8.5. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut, or sorry, not cut, we're going to score at 4.25 inches. I'm going to zoom in a bit here so you can see where that's at. So on the trimmer we've got 4.25. We're going to position our cardstock there. We're scoring parallel to the short side, but we're not going to score exactly at 4.25. We're going to shove it back just a little bit, not even a 1/16 of an inch. We're probably like a 1/32 of an inch, okay? And we're going to use the light blade and we're going to score. Then we're going to move it to the 8.5-inch mark because 4.25 plus 4.25 is 8.5. And we're going to do another score line. And that one's going to be exactly on the 8.5-inch mark. So we're scoring there. And that leaves us a 2-inch wide piece section here, okay? From this end to the score line, we have a 2-inch wide section. What we're going to do is we're going to bring a pencil in. I also didn't add that to the supplies. Silly me. We're going to bring a pencil in and we're going to mark right up here at the 1-inch mark. So halfway between 1 and 2 is the 1-inch mark. I'm sorry, 0 and 2 is the 1-inch mark. Then we're going to cut. So this is, so Sue, you remember you asked me which direction do you fold in? Well, silly me, you know, or when you're doing these kinds of fun fold cards, sometimes you can't help it because you scored or marked in a certain direction. So you're going to see me folding the opposite way of what I just told you, just because I don't want to backtrack. So we're going to cut from this mark down to here. We're going to line that up in the channel of our trimmer. Sorry, my head's in the way. And I'm not going to push against this side to cut. I'm going to push against this side because I don't want to bust my little corner there. So there we go. That is a little piece that we're going to cut off and toss to the side. And that's the cut that you'll need. So your card will have score lines in those little areas right there and then a diagonal cut. So this is what I meant. See how I pressed down in this direction? This is the valley and this is the mountain. Typically you'd want to fold this way, but Rachel forgot. So we're folding this way and we're going to be okay with that. Okay, so that is going to be the base of our card. I'm going to set that aside for a minute. We're going to bring in our designer paper, and I need a piece that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I also need a diagonal piece. My catch-all table, we're going to throw it back here, you guys. Keep our desk clean today. So this piece we're going to need for the front, and then we're going to need another piece to go over this diagonal area here. Okay? So that piece, if it's 2 inches wide, we want this piece to be 1 3/4 inches wide. Okay? Because that way it will fit, at least here at the bottom it will fit, with about 1/8 of an inch little border around there. Okay? So what's the width up here? It's 1 inches. So first let's get our depth, or the height of our piece here. It's going to be 5 1/4 for our layer, because our card is 5 1/2 inches tall. So we want our layer to be just under that. So that's going to give us 1/8 of an inch border here and here. And then because this is 1 inch wide, we want to go to 3/4 inches. So to do that, let's bring this back in here. So to do that, we want to mark our paper in at 3/4 of an inch up here. It's going to be easiest, I think, if I do it on this side though, because it's less busy on the design. So we're going to flip this over, and we're going to mark it at 3/4 of an inch right here. Do you see how I did that? I used the ruler on my trimmer, and I just brought this edge up to the 3/4 inch mark, and I used the channel for marking that spot. So now we can cut from that mark down to this corner. And again, don't push into a sharper corner, push into a flat edge instead. And there's our piece that we can use to cover that spot. Now a little hint, if you are mass producing, take your paper and do a 2 1/2 inch piece instead. So if you're going to make multiples of this card, we're going to do 2 1/2 by 5 1/4. Chris Slogar, this was an awesome tip that you had in your video too. I loved it. And we're going to do, we can get 2 diagonal pieces out of 1 this way. Now this design does have a direction to it, but it's foliage. You know, so leaves can hang down too, right? But if you do have a definite direction, like ice cream cones, you know, you don't want those upside down. They're going to drip all over the place. So you couldn't really do it with that. But with a non-directional type of designer paper, you can mark it 3/4 of an inch in here and 3/4 of an inch in down here, and then just connect those 2 cuts, and then you'll have 2 pieces that you can use. All right, moving on. So let's do some piece prepping. That's the hardest part, you guys. We got that over. You're good to go. You're golden. Okay. Now we need to prep a few more pieces that we can put our card together. I'm using the thick basic white cardstock, and the thick is going to be good because we're going to make a locking mechanism for the card. And I want that to be a little bit stronger. So I want it to be more like the regular cardstock. And the regular basic white cardstock is a bit thinner. So we've got our white, thick, 2 1/4 inch circle. We've also already pre-punched out a 2 1/4 inch circle with the Pretty Peacock cardstock. And the reason why we needed that one is because that's going to be on the inside, and you'll see that in a minute. And then what we need from here, oh, you know what, that's optional. I'm going to save that for later. What we need from, hang on. Gotta get in the drawer. I do have scraps of it. I have so many scraps of this color. There we go. We'll use this one. So what we need from this is just a little bit more Pretty Peacock for a flower. So we're going to bring in the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Love this machine. If you do not have an embossing die cutting machine, I highly recommend this one. And not only because I represent the Stampin' Up! Products, but because it's awesome. It's got fold up little sides, so it's easy to travel with, a beautiful handle. The colors are gorgeous, and it works just as great as any other die cutting machine. Plus it's got the Stampin' Up! Logo on it. It's sturdy. It's got some awesome plates that go with it, and they're numbered. So when you get the machine, you actually get these easy to follow directions on your plate. So we've got the number 1, number 2, and then for die cutting, we need a third plate, which is number 3. This is the cutting, or I think it's called a cutting plate. I don't know. And then we sandwich that paper and the die cutting side down. You can tell which side is cutting because it's rougher, and it won't actually cut you unless it's got like little pokey parts, like the stitch shapes and the stitched rectangles. I sometimes get really kind of scratchy feelings from those. I haven't cut myself, but be careful on those. And then you put the other cutting plate on top. And I like to wear out one of my cutting plates more so than the other. You can see the difference between the two. So this one I'm going to get really scratchy before I move it aside. So they do wear out over time. They can get to the point where they crack, but you just keep flipping them over, using them on both their sides, and they last a pretty good long time. So now we're going to center that, and we're just going to crank the handle. Oops, you can't see the handle. So there's a cranking handle on this side here. And we're just going to crank it all the way through. You put your hand on top, and there it goes. I've heard that it also makes less cracking sounds than some of the other die cutting machines. I don't remember, but so then you pull this off, and look at, there's little tiny circle pieces that were left behind by the inside of that flower, because every little piece gets cut out. It's like an awesome punching machine, right? And you just brush that stuff on the ground, or you can take, and I don't have it in front of me, but like a lint roller, and you can remove any extra little cardstock debris that's not coming off. So now we've got that flower ready. Here we go. So this is the card we're going to make. I wasn't going to show it to you, but you know what? Let's just, because you'll understand it more. So this is the locking mechanism that you pull off to the side, and then you bring it back over to close the card. Is this adorable or what? So let's put it together. Let's actually start with the circle part here. So we need to do the locking part. Actually, let's start with the designer paper. Let's add that. Now, it depends on your preference. I'm one who's totally fine with punching, making my punches go through a layer of cardstock plus a designer series paper layer. But if that bothers you, I'm going to leave this one off. Chris mentions that it makes your punches last longer if you don't force it to go through a thicker layer. So let's just go ahead and leave that one off, and you can see the tips for lining up. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to make a little slit between these two layers here that's going to connect. So we're going to start with this one. We're going to bring it into the base or the bottom edge of our card base, and then we're going to slide it over so that it is still flush with the bottom, but so that we have our punch going about halfway into this section. So you're going to look at this edge, and you're going to look at this edge, and you're going to punch it when you feel like it's about halfway in. Then we're going to lay this down. This was another reason why I put this on, is because this cardstock is super dark, and it would have been harder to see me draw the pencil lines. So now you can kind of see the pencil lines a little bit better. Plus you have the option. Do you want to punch through the cardstock plus a designer paper layer, or do you want to just do it with the cardstock first and then the designer paper? So we're going to take and we're going to draw with our pencil a little mark there to show how, where that punch lines up. So you can see that we're just going to shove this in. See how it's shoved into the bottom also? And we're going to punch. And now that hole is going to line up with that hole. Nice, right? So now what do we do if we have to add the designer paper layer after? Super simple. So go ahead and add that. And then you can flip it over because you can see where that hole is, and you can line it back up again and punch out the excess designer paper that you didn't need there. All right. So, ta-da! Pretty cool. Now let's open this up because we want to grab a sticky note, post-it note, a post-it note flag, whatever. And we're going to cover up that hole, which is why we needed the 2 1/4 inch circle punch. You could use an oval die, a circle die, anything that's going to cover up that section. And we're just going to hold it there with a temporary piece of, adhesive, like a sticky note or whatever. Then we're going to close our card. We're going to close it completely, and we're going to bring in, and I think I forgot to grab them from my drawer. We're going to bring in dimensionals. So she used Chris used there's like an adhesive foam, but dimensionals I feel are going to be a little bit better going with this punch because it's got kind of a dimensional edge to it. It has that same little hexagon edge to it. So we're going to grab one of these and we're going to place it right into that spot there. Okay, it's filling in that portion of the hole that we made. It's connecting with the circle behind it too. We're going to put one more there just for stabilization, and we're just going to connect them so that the flat edge is on the top and bottom. There we go, top and bottom. Okay, and then we're going to open this up again. We're going to remove this post-it note. It's important to do it now. I did it after, for the first couple of cards that I made, and it was kind of funny. It was trying to get in there and remove the post-it note because you couldn't open up the card. So remove it now, and then you're going to close it back up again. And those little dimensionals are going to hold it pretty steady. But if it falls out, just pop it back in place. In fact, here, I'll show you. If it falls out, just stick it right back in there, line everything back up, and press this down. Maneuver it, make sure that's in that spot there, really nice and tight. Next thing is we're going to add our locking mechanism. So I'm going to move this off to the side. I'm just going to put a punch. I'm just taking any punch here and putting it off to the side to close it. So now we need to make this locking mechanism here. Really easy to do. We've got our pieces that are die cut and ready to go. So I'm going to pull those in. We've got different leaves to choose from here. There's actually an embossed little middle portion of the leaf too. Can you see that? And by the way, as I bring my hands up close, I just want to say I pre-recorded a video last week, and it was right after I had cleaned my oven. It was so bad. I couldn't get how like things just, it was horrible. No matter how much I scrubbed and tried to clean, I had dyed like grease stains all over my fingernails. So if you see any darkening, just forgive me. It's probably just residue. Okay, so now we're going to add a dimensional behind this flower. And this flower does have a little bit of embossed, it's hard to see because it's a darker cardstock, but there's a little bit of impression that was put into that. So you can tell which side is the front and back. And the dimensional that I'm putting on the back is going to fit into each little petal area because there's 6 petals and there's 6 points on the dimensional. If you want to, you could use a smaller one, but what I like is that it's covering up those holes so that you see white behind it instead. It's kind of like having a little white piece of cardstock back there. So this is going to go on the top here. First we got to stamp. Let's stamp first. Sorry for the noise. Did you guys hear that? I forgot to make my computer silent. Okay, so we're going to open up and use our Pretty Peacock ink with our stamp that says Happy Easter. And we'll just stamp that towards the bottom, bottom right, kind of, okay? Oops. Did you see that? It didn't stamp all the way. Flip side, and then on this card there is a flip side. You can, in fact, you know what? Because there's a little bit of white showing there, I am going to punch a new circle. Sometimes you got to do that. We'll just punch a new one. And this time we'll make sure that we press firmly by using our Stamp and Pierce mat. How many of you were yelling at me? That was probably the reason, right? All right, so here we go. Bottom right. There, nice clear image, Rachel. All right, keep that handy if I remember it again. So now we can take off the dimensional on the back side here, and we can add our little flower, and then we can add these fun guys, and I forgot those too, glue dots. Hang on. I love this. I'm trying to remember who told me this. I'm going to go back to my emails and see if I can find her name. She's in Genevieve Coe's group. Sorry, Genevieve. I didn't mean to botch your name. Where is she? Danielle Horst. Thank you. Oh, Jennifer. Daniel is her husband. So Jennifer Horst, thank you for this little tip. And I had thought to experiment with this, but I didn't. So you know how in the past few videos, I've been rolling out the newly configured glue dots this way? Because they used to be on top here, and it was, you know, just something I was used to. But now they're on the flip side. They're on the underside of the paper that rolls out. So she suggested I cut off the little tab. I don't remember how I cut it off now. Cut off one of your tabs on your box, put it back in your box with the end coming out this way. And the reason why I said I considered doing this is because in my classes, when I used to have in-person classes, people would do this with their glue dots. And the glue dots were on the flip side, and then I'd come back and I'd clean up after class, and the whole inside of my box was lined with glue dots because I was stupid enough not to take them out of the box before putting them on the table for people to use. But now you can keep them in the box because when you pull them out, the only chance that they'll have to catch on anything is just right here. All right? So what you do is when you pull them out, you pull down. You pull down. And then they don't catch on anything. So I'm going to roll them back up so they're easy to use again. Hang on. Little tip. Thank you so much, Jennifer. All right, we're going to throw that back in there, pull out the little end here, and we're ready to roll. So I forgot my Take Your Pick tool. That's okay. We can use any little pokey thing, and we're going to add, let's add it on the underside here. We're going to add a glue dot, and we're going to shove it underneath one of the petals and stick it down. And then we'll do that on the other one. So we'll just grab that and we'll stick this under here like that. Okay? Pretty easy to do. If you find that your stem, like on this one here, is going to be extra long, you can trim it. You can cut off that little end there because you're not going to see anything that's tucked way under there. So you might see me do that when we do the inside of the card. So now this piece is ready. We're going to pull off the backings on our dimensionals here. And we're going to line this up so that the happy is parallel to the top and the bottom of the card. We're also, and you know what? I should have shoved this over now. We're going to shove this over. This little tip I figured out afterwards, after I'd made a few, because I want this circle to lock completely, but I also want it to open completely. So we're going to have it in the open position. Everything's flat and shut, and we're going to attach it like this. Again, parallel. This is parallel to the top and bottom of our card, but it's also cleared the whole area here so that when we push this all the way over, our circle is not going to be covering up any portion of this. So now we can shove it back. We can shove it back, and you can see that, wow, I could really, I was able to put it down here, but I wouldn't have guessed that. I probably would have placed it maybe even further or less or whatever. And I think that's a good little tip on that card. Now you can also see a little hint of the slider area here. So if you want to, you can take either some coordinating cardstock and write the word pull on it, or you could punch out some white cardstock and do the same thing. But that's something, that's an option there, so that you're also either covering up that little hole there, but you're showing people that this is where, and here I'll just do it here with pencil. This is where you would pull. Now, I personally left that off on my finished sample because another option is to take a piece of cardstock when you're mailing your card and just write on here, pull the circle to the left to open. So then they'll look at the circle and they'll be like, oh, pull it to the left. Ah, so you can give some written directions on an extra little sheet of paper that you stick inside. And a lot of people do that. They put an extra little piece of paper on the inside of the envelope to kind of protect some of the embellishments so that they don't poke through the envelope when you're mailing them. The adhesive sequins here, the Artistry Bloom sequins, you can see I use these up. These are almost as important for me as the rhinestones are. I love rhinestones, but anyways, yeah, this is like second in line for me. I'm going to pull one of these off. These are flatter than like rhinestones or pearls, so you wouldn't necessarily need to have something protecting it when you put it through the mail, but it's a good idea anyways. So we're going to go ahead and put that there. We're going to take one of these looser ones because I've been peeling them up and then putting them back down, and we'll do those in here just for some fun accenting. All right, you can use any of those colors really. I just chose the orangier ones because I thought that was better for the inside of the flower. We'll open this up all the way, and now we have the inside to do. So for the inside, a little tip to get just the word wishes is to grab those little flags again. Where did our stamp go? Here it is. So we're going to take our stamp. We're going to grab a Post-it flag, or you could grab, like a piece of washi tape, or masking tape or scotch tape, any kind of tape that you can peel back off again. And we're just going to cover up the word best. Then we'll grab our ink pad and we'll ink it up. And then we're going to peel away that tape. And you know what? I didn't get it covered up completely. So we're going to come in here and we're going to wipe away. It was on the T. Okay. Then, hopefully, I heard you, hopefully, when we stamp this down. Oh, you know what? It didn't get inked all the way. We're going to do it again. I can tell because when I'm looking through here, I can see the W. Can you see that? So let's just try that again with a clean little sticky note. And hopefully this time we are covering up the T. I think what I was doing is I was getting it too close to the edge of the pad. So we'll go in a little bit further. There we go. Now it's inked up fully. We'll remove this little note. Make sure that, yep, there's no ink there. And then we can come back in and we can stamp down our word wishes, making sure the bottom of the word wishes is parallel to the top and bottom of that layer that's going on the inside. We're going to bring it down a bit. All right, so wishes. Happy Easter wishes is what the card says. Let's bring in our extra pieces. We'll do the same thing on the inside. So we're going to grab a dimensional. We're going to put that on the back side of the flower. Peel that off. And again, it's going to be a little bit sticky if you press down right there. So that's why that little sequin is good to put in there too. We're going to make this a little bit off center because we have this set of leaves, which is longer. And let's bring in our glue dots again. Peel out a couple more. We can put this on the back side of even one of the leaves. That would make it a stronger hold. Put those there. Tuck this under, if I can hold it. So that can go there. And then this one can go like that. One last thing. Where did they go? Here they are. I just had to buy a few more of these, even though I don't know if they're retiring or not. As a demonstrator, I don't use retiring products anymore. As somebody who wouldn't be a demonstrator, I would snatch up a bunch of these just to make sure I had them. So that layer is set to go. We're going to add that to the inside of our card like this. And there we go. So there's the inside. There is the outside. Such a fun interactive card, right? I'll zoom out a bit so you can see a little bit better. I have a couple of other samples to share with you. Before I do that, though, I just want to fill you in on what's going on. So 2 weeks ago is when I did my last live with you. I think that was May 3rd. And my reason for not going live the following week, which would have been May 10th, is because I was going to be going away and I had some things to get done. And anyways, that trip actually got canceled for me. I couldn't go because family comes first. And what we found out just, I think it was like a day or two after that live was over, is that my husband is, was having some issues with his ears. And so he got a hearing test, found out that one ear is hearing less than the other. We had all kinds of thoughts that, you know, the doctor said it could be this, it could be that, it could be that. So then we went in for an MRI, and our world just kind of turned a little bit. It's not upside down. We're going to be fine. But just a lot of focus on what's going on with my husband right now. So he's got what's called an acoustic neuroma. It's a benign tumor. It is in his ear canal area. It's not completely close to the brainstem, but it's far in the head. And it's about, they said it was 1.7 centimeters in diameter. So we're weighing out different options, what we're going to do right now, and what this was recommended by the neurosurgeon and some other doctors that we've met with, is that we're going to wait it out. We're going to wait for another 6 months and deal with some other things that are happening because of that. He's getting tinnitus. Some people pronounce it tinnitus. It's the ringing of the ears. Anyways, so we're going to be working on coping and dealing with that and kind of trying to get our heads wrapped around the possibilities of what could happen if we did this and what could happen if we do that. So we're just sitting back and kind of dealing with all of that first. And then after the summer ends, we're going to go back and get another MRI and find out what we really should do at that point, whether it's surgery or radiation and stuff. And so if any of you have gone through this hearing loss situation with acoustic neuroma, or you know somebody who has maybe hearing just in one ear, because that could be a result of surgery, reach out to me and I can, you know, relay the information to my husband. But we're going through some stuff, and so that's why next week is also going to be put on hold. I've gotten pretty far behind in stuff and I need a catch-up week. So yeah, so I'm taking next week off. My next video then, and sorry for this, but it's going to be March 31st. So it'll be another 2 weeks before I see you live again. Let's just, let's do prizes. Prizes this week are actually a choice of tutorials. So I have tutorials on my blog at stampyourartout.com. You have the option to pick between all kinds of tutorials that I have in my tutorials for sale section. So if you are a winner that Trisha picks, you get to reach out to me via email, and my email is stampyourartout.com. And then you'll get to just go shopping for whichever set of tutorials you want. The tutorials are a $15 US value, and those will get emailed to you. So yay, right? Remember that today is a free shipping day. So take advantage of that. If you're in a different market, if you're in, say, Europe, and you have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out there, you also have the 17th for free shipping, but yours is going to end a little bit sooner than us because it's your full, you know, it's your day for your area. So ours is going to end at 12 p.m. or 11:50 p.m. Mountain Time here in the U.S. So keep that in mind for anybody in the U.S. Okay, I'm going to come back to the computer because we want to announce the winner from 2 weeks ago first, and then I think Trisha is working on picking winners from this week. So let me set up the screen there. Congratulations to Amy! Amy Sanger, you were the winner that was chosen from the Hydrangea Hill video from 2 weeks ago. And you are going to get mailed some fun stuff. I'll bring it back to my table so you can see that. So these were the prizes that went out to the Hydrangea Hill comment winners. And so you also get a roll of black satin ribbon and a package of the Peaceful Poppies elements. So you can make mass loads of fun and easy cards as well. So let me click away from this. Hang on. Then I'm going to go back to looking out to see if Trisha has announced a winner. It's funny, all the comments are streaming right now really fast. Oh, look at all the fun clovers, you guys. So much fun. Okay, there we go. Trisha has announced our winners. Lady Michael and Kathy S. So Michael and Kathy, congratulations to you both. You get to, email me and let me know what you want for your tutorials, which tutorials you want. In fact, here, I will show you on my computer where you can find them. There. Oops, hang on. There we go. So here's my website, stampyourartout.com. When you're there, you're going to go to classes. I know it's a weird area, but I didn't. Anyways, it's under classes. Tutorials for sale. And then you can just scroll through and you can see what the different choices are. So we have the Hydrangea Hill and the Love You Always, the Fine Art Floral. You can even scroll down and choose a tutorial from way, way back. We have mega tutorials like the Ornate Garden. I have tutorials from, this paper pumpkin kit. So, am I making you guys dizzy? Sorry. Sorry about that scrolling there. But yes, there's lots of choices for the winners today. In fact, if you are a winner and you live outside the US, that is one of the options that I give people who are chosen outside of the US. So instead of sending product, which I can't do, I can send you via email a tutorial. So you always have that choice. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I was going to share with you. I think that's it. Just make sure that you take advantage of the sale if you have a wish list ready to go. Next time I go live will be March 31st at 11 a.m. I hope that you come back and visit me on YouTube at that time. And click like if you enjoyed this video. Give me the thumbs up if you can. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel. All right. On that note, I'm going to let you guys all go, and I can already see people saying well wishes and prayers for your family. I appreciate that so much. Hugs to all of you, and we will see you in a couple weeks. Bye, everyone.